We have invoices of $30,778.40.
Mr. Boda, we need to act on the consent agenda.
I thought I did.
Yep. I'll make a motion, we accept the consent agenda as presented.
I support.
And there's been a motion of support. Any further discussion? All those in favor, signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay, under disbursements, and now the next item on the agenda is invoices, $30,778.40. Accounts payable, $129,559.46. Payroll, $22.03. Payroll direct deposit, $41,683.73. And electronic fund transfers are $40,609.80 for a total, and that's the wrong total. I looked at it, I re-added it 3 times, and it should be 242,734.42. So
What'd you say, 243?
242.
242.
734.42. I think it's just a typo that happened. Okay. Next item.
Do a roll call vote.
William.
Roll call vote, Mr. Boda,
Yes.
Mr. Gonzalez,
Yes.
Mr. Horn,
Yes.
Mr. Babel,
Yes.
Mr. Blackstock.
Yes.
And Freehand votes yes.
Okay. All right, next item on our agenda is new business. New business 1 will be the sheriff's report for
Matt Paulus, the undersheriff. I was mentioning before the meeting how stable the numbers are, but I did want to just take a moment. We just concluded our annual training. The Sheriff's Department's had a relationship with East China for over 40 years, and I think sometimes we forget some of the benefits, especially the smaller townships and smaller cities that we contract with. We have 2 12-hour days annually that we train all the deputies, all the law enforcement deputies, and it goes Wednesday and Thursday. And we usually do it in March or February, depending on vacations. I know Easter was a little bit later this year, so it kind of overlapped between February and March. And the first day they had firearms training where they have a specific course of fire that they do. They also did some training at Birchwood Mall with some of the rescue task force where they had some of the ambulance and fire personnel. So new philosophies in some of the active shooters across the country. A lot of the EMS and fire departments have been training with police officers in the event there was some type of an active shooter incident in this county. The fire and police would be able to work together to try to get the injured people out. So just to let you know in the township, that that's something that we've been working for a year, and now they've actually gone to the point where they're doing training with the different disciplines. The second day of the training is a lot of the legal catch-up and some of the different services that are out there. And I brought this up because one of the ones that I had to sit in on a couple of them just to keep up myself on some of the new training that's out there. And there's a new group with community mental health. It's called the crisis team. And I know as a young officer, one of the hardest things to deal with is people that are having mental illness, whether they're off their medication or sometimes it's a person that hasn't been diagnosed yet, so they don't have any history. And it can be very, very challenging as an officer, especially at nighttime when there's no services, there's nobody around to call. And so this crisis team is relatively new, and during this February training, our deputies had the opportunity to speak with some of the personnel that work in this crisis unit. They have a 24-hour on-call phone number that they give the deputies, and there happened to actually be a call in East China in March, the end of March, that I pulled off of our hot sheet. And there was this woman was born in 1945. She's in her, 60s, 70s. It looks like she was having some delusions where she thought people were coming into her house and, cutting her clothes, and she wasn't obviously having some type of mental health issue. So the deputies were able to call this crisis unit, and they come right out to the scene with the deputies, and they were able to get this woman some help, whether it was getting her in touch with the hospital or getting some kind of aftercare. And I just pointed out that's one of the examples that different agencies working together. It was a big weakness in this county for many years when we'd have people in crisis with mental health crisis in the middle of the night, and there just was nowhere to turn. So that's kind of a new thing, and it's been in place, and we're using it almost on a daily basis. And this came up when I was preparing for the meeting just a couple days ago. It was on the 27th, so it happened a couple days before that, right here in the township. So I thought I'd pass that on to you. One of the things I try to do too is the next couple of quarterly, I try to highlight the benefits for contracting. We have an accident investigation unit that has about 4 or 5 people. They're some of the most highly trained people in the state. As you know, everything's more complicated now. The cars have all kinds of computers. Well, those are very technical, and it takes specific training to be able to get the data out of some of these devices when there's a car crash where a car is totaled out. It'll tell exactly how many seat belts were buckled, when the airbag went off, when the brake was applied, how fast the car was going, when it hit something, all kinds of data that comes out. And of course, if there's a criminal case, the prosecutors want access to all that. So that's one of the things I think I'll be highlighting, and I'll find out what happened with why it didn't get emailed to be on the agenda. I'll fix that. But if there's any question, or if there's some interest that the board has that you'd like to maybe touch on at one of the meetings, just email the city manager or email me, and we can highlight it, because it really does give you guys a whole wealth of people that we can pull from. If there was a big incident, whether it's a detective team or a serious crash, we got a team of people that are really, really highly trained to handle those types of situations.
Do we receive a report? What kind of report would the township receive? I mean, here we have just a number, and it's
yeah. You get, like I said, we have contracts with 5 or 6 different municipalities, and they pretty much all want that basic report. But what I try to do is go out and above. There's a lot of other benefits that you don't see that aren't quite out there. Like I said, if we had an incident in East China where, well, we had a homicide in Fort Gratiot. That's one of our contracted townships a couple of months ago on a Sunday. We had 5 people that were called out within 15 minutes, and have been working on that case basically since then for almost 2 months. So we have that. That's one of the luxuries of being able to, I guess, collaborate with different organizations. Is when you have those big cases, you've got people to draw on to be able to do that. So those are some of the things I'm trying to highlight.
That's good.
You mentioned the mental health issue. Does that show up as a line item in here?
It would probably show up in one of the incidents under, I don't know how it was classified. Sometimes they classify it as this public because it really wasn't a crime. It was just somebody having some severe mental illness.
I mean, and that's important information for us to have too.
Right. And there's so much information. These things go on a daily basis, not only here but in all the townships in the county. Like I said, we've been using that mobile crisis unit almost on a daily basis since it was put into place. So it's a good resource.
It is very good that you made us aware of that, because usually you just look at this.
Yes.
And you just go with the basics.
Yeah, it just shows numbers. So
and you're not aware of everything.
You're right,
else
and
that
that's
you
what I
have
try to
offer.
highlight some of that. I know for the next quarter in July when I come, I'll do a write-up and I'll get it to you ahead of time so you'll have time. It'll be in your packet. And I'm going to focus on the crash unit because they've been doing some really amazing things. And if I can get, some of the stuff they do is computer graphics, so it's really high level. You'd be amazed. Before, they used to have a deputy that would come out with a measuring tape, and you guys have seen it out on the road where they measuring tape. They advanced to lasers, where they were using lasers to measure, and now they've gone to where they're using drones. So we have a team of 4, and we're trying to get grants so that each investigator has their own drone, and they actually do the photographing and the measuring from the drone. And it's imported into software, and they can actually graphically show the scene upside down, forward. It's unbelievable.
Interesting.
Just shows you the technology that's out there. And we don't use that obviously in every, those are cases that normally it's going to go to trial. If there's someone who's killed in a car crash and there's criminal charges, that would be something that that we would use that system for.
Okay.
That's great to know.
So, yeah, the next couple of quarters, I'll be highlighting a couple of those things that you get because you're already, part of the county. But there's some things that you don't see, the people kind of behind the scenes, I guess, is what I'm gonna show.
Particularly the ones that are significant. Obviously, if it's just a routine thing, the number is fine, but some of these because we do, with the fire authority, we do get reports, and they're a little more detailed as to.
Yeah, it gets into, some of it has to be redacted. If you start putting it out into public venue, there's certain laws that come into place where certain information has to be redacted. So that's where it gets to be problematic, when you start giving out full reports like that. Okay?
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next item on the agenda is old business. Old business one is adopt resolution to create recreation advisory board. Bob, do you want to speak on that?
Yes, I know there was some confusion at the last meeting as to what we were doing and how we were doing it. And I have to apologize. I made a motion that we appoint the Parks Commission to serve as the advisory board for the recreation program. And that was approved, and that motion still stands, but the difficulty is we appointed the Parks Commission to an organization that didn't exist. And I failed to look at the resolution that was included in our packet from last month, or at the last meeting, and there was a resolution that establishes the board. And the resolution is one that it comes from a template that is provided by the state. So what we did was to appoint the Parks Commission to an organization that didn't exist. We had not adopted the resolution. So it is a resolution that allows the township to formally create an advisory board. We've already appointed the Parks Commission members to that advisory board. And as I said, it's a template, so there may be some things that are in the template that may seem to be extraneous or redundant information. But what this does, it allows you to consider, if you so choose in the future, any way that you want to actually have people serving on the advisory board. That still comes to the township board to make a decision. So our resolution, or the motion that was made and approved, and you approved in the minutes, still stands. But what this does is actually formally create by resolution, and we'll put in the dates and times and all of that, the advisory board. So you have a resolution as part of your backup material. It's basically the same one that you had from 2 weeks ago. We just neglected to do it. Normally, what you would have done would be to adopt the resolution and then, subsequent to that, appoint the people.
Okay, thank you.
So the appropriate action is to adopt is for a motion to adopt the resolution. Someone could read it if they want to.
What's that resolution?
There is one, and we will correct it in the proposed resolution. There's an error on the last page, or on the bottom paragraph. It says China Township. I think you're probably more interested in doing it for East China Township.
Should we read that resolution?
It would,
Bob?
there's nothing wrong with reading it. Someone could read it.
I can read it real quick.
We would need a motion to adopt the resolution, and then someone could read it. I will move to adopt the resolution, we'll put a number on it, concerning the advisory board, the Recreation Advisory Board.
And I would support that.
Okay, we have a motion and we have support for this resolution to form an advisory board with the existing Parks Board. We have a motion, we have a support. Any further discussion? All those in favor, signify by aye.
Let's do a roll call.
Roll call.
Do you want to read the resolution?
Yeah, I could read it.
Okay, go ahead.
Whereas East China Township desires to provide and manage recreation programs, and whereas East China Township desires to provide recreational funding to manage all recreational programs. Whereas East China Township will utilize the East China Township Recreation Department 751 General Fund item to record and income or expenditures associated with recreation programs. Now therefore be it resolved that East China Township Board shall create the East China Township Recreation Board and will appoint 7 members to serve on the committee to manage and maintain the recreational programs for East China Township. And everything else is on record from section 1 through section 5, section 9.
Okay, thank you.
So roll call.
Okay, roll call vote, please.
Mr. Boda?
Yes.
Mr. Patsalas?
Yes.
Mr. Horn?
Yes.
Mr. Blackstock?
Yes.
Mrs. Babel?
Yes.
And Freehand votes yes.
Pass. Thank you.
And we'll make it with that change in the one paragraph on the first page where it says China Township. So,
Okay, great. Next item on the agenda are announcements, which I have none. Anybody else have announcements? No. Okay, next item are member comments. Mr. Horn, do you have a comment?
Nothing tonight.
Ms. Patsalas?
Nothing, thank you.
Okay. Mr. Freeman?
just that people are aware, we are issuing absentee ballots for the May 7th election, and those are available by anyone who can submit an application, a request for an application for absentee ballot are available here at the township, or they're also available online.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Ram. Okay, how about Mr. Blackstock?
Nothing, thank you.
Ms. Babel?
Not today,
Nothing?
thank you.
Okay. Last item on our agenda is to adjourn.
I'll make that motion that we adjourn at 7:51.
7:51.
Support.
Okay. There's been a motion and a second to adjourn at 7:51 p.m. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Carried. Thank you. Meeting is over.